Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially done with the pay-per-view era. The partnership with ESPN, which I believe lasted around 7 years, has ended. Dana White had very positive things to say about that partnership, and now we head into the new era. I mean, we got one more fight still. That's a fight night this coming weekend, next Saturday. That's still going to be on ESPN, but that's it. After that, I'm canceling my ESPN subscription come Saturday, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I will be switching over to Paramount. I might even be deleting some of my other paid subscriptions because it's going to be pretty much Paramount and that's it. UFC, other shows, whatever. But man, what a way to go. What a way to end that ESPN era. One of the best fight cards of all time. That's not just me saying it. I've heard multiple people say that on Twitter, saying top 5 of all time. And I wasn't sure what to expect. And also you could say, even though Merab is becoming such a big star, Pantoja such a legend, for whatever reason, these guys, I wouldn't call them, and don't be mad if you're a hardcore and you're like, but they're so amazing. I'm just saying generally, they're not as big names as we've had on some other previous cards like Islam Makhachev, Khamzat Chimaev, etc. But these guys are legends, and what crazy results and what crazy fights and what crazy outcomes. So let's break it all down today. We're going to go through the main card in reverse order. We're going to start off with this mind-blowing outcome between Merab Dvalishvili and Petr Yan. Petr Yan won. I thought this was one of the most locked in results that you could imagine. Actually, the one that I thought was the biggest lock was Pantoja, and obviously we know that ended in a bit of a strange way, but you can't take credit away from Van, but we'll get to that. This, I thought Merab was a lock. Now, people are saying after the fight, well, he's been too busy. He shouldn't have taken the fight. He needs to respect the process. Too many weight cuts. Nobody was saying that before, and I am one, like if he had an injury or something, Petr Yan said he had an injury in their first matchup. If it's the truth, it's the truth. If it had played a role in the original matchup, then so be it. That's just reality. But here, for everybody to be immediately as the fight ends to be saying this, where were people saying this before? Why didn't his team then say, yo, you don't take this fight, you're pushing too much? Maybe they did. I don't know. But it is what it is. People seem fine with it. He was still a minus 500. So nobody really seemed to think, including the odds makers, that was going to affect them. But it is what it is. I just don't like that too much because we don't know. That's such speculation. And I think, honestly, we have to give the true credit to Petr Yan. He put a pace on Merab. Merab looked like he was tiring out for the first time that I've ever seen. He looked like he was massively slowing down. Dude, the things that the things that Petr Yan did throughout this fight when Merab was trying to stand toe-to-toe with him were just unbelievable. The offensive wrestling was out of control. I know that Petr Yan lives in Thailand. He's a Muay Thai and striking just specialist, unbelievable striking. He showed some crisp boxing, really pinpoint accuracy. Merab did his thing too, by the way. Even though it says a 49-46 by 2 of the judges' scorecards, Merab actually I thought still did a pretty good job and hung in there. It wasn't a shutout, but Petr Yan dominated, and I think ultimately the credit needs to go with him for making improvements. Also, he said he had an injured right arm, I believe, and he couldn't use it in the last fight. I mean, I guess it must be true because he came out and put on a performance that nobody expected, and it was just something to behold. One of the most entertaining fights of the year, period. And I think Merab and Petr Yan cumulatively should be appreciated and respected for just one of the best ways to end the ESPN era, and this last numbered card, this last pay-per-view was absolutely incredible. Merab even said on the mic, and I don't know if he was implying that he even changed his fight style to be more entertaining and sacrifice the dominance for entertainment. I don't know if that's what he was alluding to, but anyways, he said, hey, thank you guys. I'm just so happy to put on an entertaining fight. This guy is just an ultimate optimist, an ultimate positive soul. Justin's trained with him, talks about him all the time, how just an amazing of a person he is. We saw that through and through, ending that, talking about that loss with just such pride and not pride. Sorry, that's not the right word. With such, he was just so humble, and he just had such class the way he talked about Petr Yan. I thought it was incredible. Petr Yan's a bit more of a trash talker. I think afterwards he was saying, hey, Merab should just go back to the jacuzzi or something like that. I don't know. He's talking. Merab's a little Petr Yan's a little trash talker. But anyways, one of the greatest fights ever. So unbelievable. And I'm thrilled that it went down this way. And I'm happy for Petr Yan. I did want to see Merab win. I was rooting for him to see him establish this amazing legacy and become the greatest bantamweight of all time. Maybe he still is, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens, and I believe he will get a rematch, if not immediately, but at some point. So we shall see. Anyways, moving on to the co-main. This was a bit of a freak accident, But that's the fight game. Injuries happen, things happen. That's still a win for Joshua Van. People are saying he probably is upset the way that it happened, but that's the fight game. Things can happen like this. Yes, you can call it a freak injury, but it's not as though he was just walking around and just like tripped over his own feet. Joshua Van threw him off, basically threw him down as they were entangled. He went up to post. That's a possibility. It's maybe, 1 in 1,000, whatever it may be. It happened. That's the fight game. That's the fight game. Joshua Van is the rightful champ. I'm blown away that he won. I'm even blown away that the odds were this close. I don't remember him even being this close, but Joshua Van came out there, the fight didn't go very long, but he's a new champ. He's only 23, 24. He's so young. I think it's exciting to have him as champ. We'll see who they match him up against with next, but I think this is bringing some excitement to the flyweight division. I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it one more time. We need Muhammad Mokaev back in the UFC. I'd love to see him come in there and challenge Joshua Van, but we shall see. Okay, moving on. This one was pretty dope too. I thought it was amazing. I heard some boos in round 1 when Tatsuro Taira was locked up in a triangle submission, but that's the game. Brandon Moreno, at least according to the analysts, had a pretty close finish. I don't know how accurate Joe Rogan's 8 out of 10 assessment was in terms of the finishing potential of that triangle. Taira seemed to be it didn't seem to be bothered by being in that triangle position, but Brandon Moreno held it. He kind of stayed in that bottom position, not really a lot of movement. I think arguably probably Brandon Moreno, at least according to the analysts, won that first round because there was a threat of the submission throughout the entire round. But it is what it is. That's the game. But Taira, this guy is amazing. And I think he'd be, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he'd be the first Japanese-born champion in the UFC if he eventually gets there. And he's so well-rounded. He's only 25. Very, very exciting fight style. And I actually looked up his background. He used to play baseball, and then when he got into training mixed martial arts, he went straight to mixed martial arts. No wrestling background, no kickboxing background. It was just straight up all-encompassing. He became some like local champion at 17. So this is the new generation. This is the new wave of guys who didn't start off training jiu-jitsu only and then became a jiu-jitsu world champion and then now mixed it all together. He's been mixing it together from the get-go, from the beginning of his training. Maybe that's why he's so skilled and so stunning as a champ. I'd love to see a first ever Japanese champion. I think he's really, really, really fun to watch. So let's see what happens. Maybe he'll be coming up next or soon to challenge Joshua Van for a title. And I bet you the UFC will want that because they'll want that market. We know how the UFC does. But again, a great fight. Oh, by the way, people call this an early stoppage. Call me crazy. I don't see it as an early stoppage whatsoever. He flattened him out. He took, I think, like 8 or 9 unanswered bad shots to the head. He was just covering up. I mean, I guess you can call that intelligently defending, but after a period of time when you're not doing anything, I don't see how people were crying that it was such a bad early stoppage. If you even want to potentially call it an early stoppage, which I think barely it was one of the least egregious early stoppages ever. So I'm totally fine with the stoppage. Brandon Moreno's a champ. I get it. And I get you want to give him a little bit more time, but how much more time? How many more shots? What, 2, 3? I mean, I don't think before you would have been okay with the stoppage. I think it was a fine stoppage. Take absolutely nothing away from Taira that would be disrespectful, in my opinion, to him. Let's see where he goes in the rankings after this, but very exciting. We shall see how it goes down. Oh my God. Fight of the night right here. Peyton Talbott, absolute legend. I did think that this was going to go down this way, but a lot of people were picking Henry Cejudo. And by the way, Henry Cejudo, people were criticizing his performance. I thought he looked great. He was, mixing up the striking, mixing up the wrestling and the takedowns. But the thing, obviously, that blew everybody away was the fact that Peyton Talbott landed 2 takedowns, offensive takedowns on Henry Cejudo. He tripped him. He got him down another time. And on top of that, when Henry was on top, man, Peyton showed so much strength, athleticism, grit, as well as cardio, and was able to fend him off, get back to his feet time and again. This is a brand new Peyton Talbott. That loss to Hayoni, if I'm pronouncing that right, or Rayoni, I can't remember if it's R or H sounding, but I know it begins with the R. Anyways, after that loss, that must have been the best thing to ever happen to him, because this guy must be working like a madman in the gym on his wrestling and grappling. And look where he is now, just an absolute beast. This was the best fight of the night, most entertaining, but on top of that, the most interesting result, in my opinion, because we're now seeing Peyton Talbott catapult to the absolute top of the sport. I mean, this guy's going to be in the top 10. Think about all the exciting matchups. Some people are saying him and Sean O'Malley, maybe him and Song Yadong, or the loser of that fight, or the winner of that fight. I mean, who knows? The sky is the limit. This guy is fun. He's exciting. He's different. One of the best fights arguably the best fighter, one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was just so much fun and so interesting. Last but not least, majority draw is never good. But in this case, it was pretty dang good. It's a disappointing result for Bogdan because I thought Bogdan was on the verge of winning, but then Yan Blachowicz just came back in round 3 and just showed ultimate heart and grit. And Bogdan, aka new Anthony Smith, has to get a majority draw here. That's 2 draws for Yan Blachowicz. So I don't know what that means for him in his future and what's going down after this for both of these guys in terms of the rankings. But it was an amazingly entertaining fight. And probably let's say this, for being a majority draw, it was the best it could be. Let's put it like that. All in all, fantastic. Some people gave it a 9. Some people gave it a 9.5. I'm not going to be stingy. I give it a 10. That main card was a 10. It was awesome. It was incredible. And I didn't even get to watch it live because I was at my girlfriend's house for a party. I watched it after the fact and was still blown away. That's how good it was. That's all I got for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What was your favorite fight? Peyton Talbott versus Henry Cejudo all the way. Last but not least, mad respect to Henry Cejudo. What a way to go out. He was just himself, took off the act, took off the king of cringe, all that stuff, and just had an amazing sentimental moment. Props to him. This is what the sport is all about. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.